You're listening to The Real Deal Conversations, a podcast designed to encourage, inspire, and equip you by sharing real stories and meaningful conversations that bring real life to the surface. I'm your host, Megan Deal. Let's dive in. I am with Brad Fox today. He is the development director at North Point. About to be former development director, but I'm going to let you get all into that. I'm not going to spoil that. I'm going to let you be the one to share with the people who haven't heard yet. Some people have.
Most people have, I hope.
Yes. So, but Brad, actually, he has been on a medical journey for, 7 years?
Yeah, since 2018.
Yeah.
Was the start of the journey.
Yes.
For sure.
And I remember it actually. Daniel and I, we had visited North Point for we go to North Point now, but at that time we were just visiting. And I remember you making the announcement. And I don't think anyone at that moment understood the magnitude of your future when you made that announcement.
I don't think I understood it either.
Yeah.
I was just kind of regurgitating what the doctors had told me, and it didn't feel real quite yet. Mm-hmm. And then it did.
And that's what we're going to talk about today, is your journey through that. And I told Brad, I said, what I want this to do is, I think so often in our really hard moments, there's so many facets to it. One of the things that I want to normalize, though, is that wrestle of knowing God is good, but also being human. If you, as a listener, I'm actually very specifically wanting to reach people who are going through a really hard time right now, but also knowing that many other people in many other moments can maybe relate in some capacity. But it's really easy to stay isolated and locked up in a mental chain, so to speak, and think, maybe I don't have enough faith, or maybe God's mad at me because I'm angry right now. And there's all these things that make us feel less than, and I think makes the journey even harder, unnecessarily harder. And so I'm so excited for you to come on and be willing to share your journey with the hope that if somebody is listening today, you know God is good.
For sure.
And not just knowing God is good, but you know God loves you regardless of that wrestle.
100%.
So Brad, take us back 7 years ago to your diagnosis, how it had just give us the background.
Let's go back 8 years. That might be even more fun, because 8 years ago, I felt like I was a pretty healthy person. Yeah. I was, still rather young in my mid to late 40s, and still playing basketball twice a week, pretty competitively in my own mind, at least. Yeah. I wasn't falling over or anything. I was hanging in there with the younger guys, and it was interesting because as a man, we never really want to go in and see the doctor, and it's not something that I ever wanted to do. I hear horror stories about guys, in their mid-40s going to see the doctor and coming out a changed man. Yeah. So I was like, I'm not real interested in going in and getting this checkup done, but I'm like, okay, I probably should. And I was getting pressure from external sources. It's like, you need to go in and get this done. I'm like, all right. So went in that morning and did blood work, and they got the report back, and the blood work was a little funky. Had really low white blood cells, really low red blood cells, and the platelet levels were off. And I'm just like, okay, well, I need to drink orange juice or something. Yeah. So doctor called and said, hey, we're concerned about that, but it could be a false, positive. So let's go ahead and bring you back in and do some more blood work. So they did that, and it was consistent with the first one. So I was like, okay, well, what is it? What do you think? He goes, I don't know. So I took the next month and a half and just did all sorts of tests. I gave blood like a vampire was living with me basically every day, just getting blood taken and running tests and all that. And they did a bone marrow biopsy, which they basically take a hole saw and take a Slim Jim out of your hip after busting it through. So my wife recorded that. She was sitting next to me. I'm just like, thanks. But it made for some good video later. But all sorts of things. And they came back that it was not cancer. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, great, because that's the one thing I was probably thinking it was, because, my wife watched Grey's Anatomy and she knows a lot about medicine. I grew up watching MASH. So, of course, between the two of us, we could figure it out. But the doctor called me and he's like, okay, we figured it out. It's called alpha-1. It's antitrypsin deficiency and all this stuff. And I was just like, alpha-1 sounds actually kind of cool. What is that? Yeah. He's like, well, basically you have stage 4 cirrhosis of the liver. Wow. I'm like, I am not an alcoholic. How could this even happen? Mm-hmm. And but it was apparently my parents were the perfect mix in their DNA to bring about this 1 in a million type disease. So yeah, it was super interesting. So wow. I always give them a hard time because they feel horrible, that they contributed the little part that they did. Yeah. But I'm like, you know what? I'm the tallest, probably the best looking out of all my 4 brothers or 3 brothers. And I'm like, you know what? There's, I probably deserve it. So
I'll take a hit.
Yeah, exactly. So they kind of gave us, here's some things that could happen. You could have a hard time breathing. You're going to have, this, that, the other thing. Your liver is going to, your liver is basically a filter. It filters stuff out. And now my spleen was taking over the job of that. My spleen swole up to twice the size that it was supposed to be. So that cut my basketball off right there. I was like, I asked one doctor up at Barnes, I'm like, will I still be able to play basketball? And he's like, oh, yeah, totally. Just go shoot around with the guys. I'm like, that's not how I play basketball. I play a little bit more, high contact. I might get an elbow. And he goes, if you get an elbow in your spleen and you rupture it, you'd probably die on the court. I'm like, I love basketball, but not that much. So,
wow.
Yeah, that began a journey of just trying to, figure out what things that I could do. Yeah. And multiple hospital stays just from different things. I had some blood vessels basically burst in my esophagus, and I was in the hospital for 5 days. That was an interesting one. So
wow.
Yeah.
So okay, when you realize how I have several questions right now. One, at that time, did you have any realization yet as bad as it was going to get? Did you still, did they tell you it could get any worse? Or at that point, were you just like, no contact, hard breathing?
No, they said I would need a liver transplant eventually.
Okay, so you knew down the road.
Yeah, they told me that. That was a little bit of a shock, but I'm like, okay, well, I think they do those,
Yeah.
They didn't do them on MASH, but now they do them. But
it'll be easy. Yes, and we'll get to that later. I almost started asking questions. I need to hold back on that though. But so when you found out you couldn't play basketball and do things like that, and the reason I'm asking this is because I know when Daniel, my husband, Daniel, when he can't play. Yeah, he does. Guys, I used to always make these posts about my husband's legs. He does have good legs. Okay. But when he can't play basketball, when he can't do that stuff, he kind of goes into a depression. It is his outlet.
Yeah.
What was that like for you to have, be able to do those things and no longer do those things? What was that like for you emotionally? In coping, did you find new things? Walk me through that.
I'm kind of an eternal optimist, I guess. So when it comes to stuff like that, I'm like, there's nothing I could physically do about it.
Yeah.
I can't go in and drain my spleen and make it better so I could go. So, and I thought about it. I'm like, hey, like a rotor-rooter, can't we just go root the thing out? And and they're like, no, your body's not exactly like that. I'm like, all right, well, I tried. So, no, it was a deal where I had to kind of shift my focus. And I never, ever in the whole journey felt sorry for myself. I just, that's not who I am. I don't want to waste time feeling sorry for myself because it is a waste of time. Mm-hmm. As a follower of Jesus, I trust him that no matter what's going on, no matter what life throws me, it's just like, okay, it's a curveball, but I'll just wait on it and watch it go by, and just it's not going to affect me that bad. Mm-hmm. And there were times where just through the process of over the last probably 4 years here, that just funky little things would happen. Like I'd wake up and I was in the hospital. That was Thanksgiving a couple years ago, and I'd had a procedure done, and something had happened where the toxins in my body had gotten to my brain, and Leah was trying to wake me up in the morning to come out for breakfast, and I was like a zombie, and she couldn't wake me up, and I was just like, kind of like a little kid. Yeah. So luckily my parents were there from Montana for Thanksgiving Day, which I did not get Thanksgiving that year, but woke up in the hospital at 3:00 in the afternoon. I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, yeah, you had this episode basically where you were just out of it, and so not a fun deal. But
yeah. Wait, so then how is that for Leah?
So hard, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for Leah, how is that? And how do you, whenever I don't want people to feel my burden, I don't want people to feel I'm just like, it's okay, guys. It's okay. Like, let me manage it. I don't want you guys to manage it. Like, how was that navigating for you and Leah?
For me, that on that Thanksgiving was probably the first time I thought about how it hits her.
Uh-huh.
I was thinking, for me, it really sucks.
Yeah.
But for her, it's even worse, watching her husband like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
And how, for somebody who's listening and is married and dealing with something very similar, not same diagnosis, but similar in situation, how would you encourage the two of them to get through those moments where one feels like maybe a sense of guilt that their spouse is even having to, and it's like, no, I just let me carry it in the spouse. How would you encourage them in walking through that?
Communicate. I mean, talk it through, because I think lots of times we assume we're the one with the disease, so we're the one that has the issues and is going through everything, but our spouse is watching us deal with it, and the same way, and even worse sometimes, because they have to pick up the slack for areas that we can't do it. I mean, I would have to come home from work and take 2 or 3 hour naps during the week, and it's hard. I was a campus pastor at our Nixa location for about 8 years, and it's hard to lead a staff and lead a church if you're going, hey, peace out, I got to go take a nap for 3 hours, and you guys, just make stuff happen. So, and that's about the time that we decided to make that transition. And the church was very great about helping create this opportunity for me to be development director, and really just working with people and organizations. And it was kind of a nice relief. I still feel like I'm able to contribute something, but also if I'm not able to that day, no one's breathing down my neck saying, where are you? So very, very grateful for that opportunity. So
major blessing.
Yeah.
So when you're navigating this, and you see how it affects your family, you see so much of it. What is that like in your faith journey? You did say that you're an optimist, you're a follower of Jesus, and so he's got it. But in those hard moments, did you ever have a wrestle where you just were raw with God and just, Yeah,
I would say that there were several moments where I'm just like, okay, here we go again.
Yeah.
Having to go to the hospital again, having to go to the ER, which is a great place to people watch, but, like on the way there, I would afford myself, 30 seconds of like, oh, man, seriously? Because as fun as it sounds to go to an all-inclusive place where they poke you with needles and feed you great food, it's not a whole lot of fun to be there, especially when you have to go through the ER to get there. But I would not linger in those moments, because if I linger in those moments, I'm going to get sucked down and start feeling sorry for myself. And I'm not one to be depressed or being full of anxiety, just because I choose to live in a way that is really open-handed with, it's just like, God, it's you now. And if you truly trust God and you're just like, okay, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give you my sickness. I'm going to give you my anger, my hurt, my bitterness, my anxiety. And I know people are probably going, oh, it's easier said than done. But no, it's you just got to let go of it. And too many times, too often, we just hold on to those things, and we want to have control over our anxiety, control over our sickness, and we can't. We just got to give them to God.
Yes.
And that's what I had to totally release and just say, you know what? I'm going to take the 30 seconds of pity party, and then I'm just going to, cowboy up and just kind of do the thing that I'm supposed to do, and which is trust God, because that's the relationship that I have with Him. And it's all about, perspective, I guess, of, how good you have it. And even with stage 4 liver, even though I'm having these issues that go along with it, having the perspective that God is still in it with me and walking alongside me. And, as a follower of Jesus, you have this confidence that either way it works out, so even going into my liver transplant, which I had this last January, so I'm almost 6 months out of that. Even rolling back, I was watching the video, and I'm just like, all right, well, we'll see ya.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yes. Yeah. I love that. I'm a huge believer that because of who God is, that even in the hardest moment, whatever the outcome, I truly believe that he is going to use it for good.
Yeah.
I really do. And it's not a cop out. It's not I think some people, something happened recently, and I feel like some of the people, when I say that, no, God's going to use this for good, guys. Like, it's going to be okay. Like, what just happened is I just gained another form of empathy that I didn't have before. And now I can come alongside these people that I couldn't come alongside before. Like, it's a good thing. And I think people hear things like that, like what you just said, like, well, I really do trust God. Or like, Megan, you really just, it's not a false hope, false positivity.
Yeah.
It's a genuine, when you know how good God is, you know that it's going to be okay regardless.
Yeah.
And that doesn't, so I want to ask this question. In saying that, for the people who, because I want to kind of normalize this too, because there are days where some people, and I've experienced this, where like thoughts want to come in, repetitive thoughts want to come in, intrusive thoughts want to come in, fear, and so what would you say to people who are struggling? Because I think there is this, what I told you in the beginning, it's real easy for people to go, am I doing this faith thing wrong because I'm struggling for so long? Am I doing this faith thing? Does God not love me because I'm scared this long, because I'm dealing with this? And I think there's so much lies that we can believe. So can you help people who are struggling with their faith journey and struggling with, is God mad at me? Can you put some truth to that? Yeah.
Well, I think you look in the Bible at the story of Job. It's like, okay, he went through a lot, lost everything, literally everything. And, even his wife is like, curse God and die. And he's like, no, I won't do it. And that's like, if Job can make it through, I can make it through. I'm not comparing, stuff like that, because I've never owned cattle, but I don't know what it is to lose them. But I look at it as really a perspective. And I remember one of my friends that had cancer, she was like, hey, I'm glad at least I don't have what you have. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to have what you have either, and the perspective I have is there's always somebody who has it worse than I do. I have it better than so many people. And, even, some days better than everyone. I have it better. So when you go into life with that idea, I mean, there's stuff that just can't get you down. And it's not like I'm sitting here anticipating, okay, when's the next thing going to happen? But I am anticipating life is going to be hard. Things are going to happen. And whether it is your health, your finances, your marriage, relationships, whatever it might be, stuff is going to happen. So I'm not surprised when things happen. I'm just like, okay, well, God said it's not going to be easy, and as a follower of Jesus, it's not like you're signing up to have this Christian bubble wrap around you where nothing bad is going to happen. Stuff is going to happen. And it's how I respond, and that will be my testimony for other people to see. It's like, so I'm not doing it to say, hey, look at Brad, look at his testimony. I'm saying, no, look at God, look what he has done. So it's amazing. So and it has been great. I mean, it's the whole transplant thing even that journey was super interesting, because I don't know if you know a whole lot about transplants, but I was trying to get on the list for a long time, and trying to get on the list. I mean, it's hard because it's
Don't you have to be almost dying? Like,
what? Seriously?
Right.
They didn't tell me that. No,
but isn't that it?
Yeah.
Like,
you have to get bad enough to get on.
Yeah.
But not so bad that you don't qualify.
Okay.
So it's like it's funny. It's like playing tennis, kind of just back and forth, and I finally was able to get on the list, which was amazing. One of those phone calls that we'll never forget. Yeah. And we're like, okay, what now? Well, you just wait until you're up on top of the list and you get the liver. Okay, we got that. So a couple months went by, and then we got a call. Hey, you're number 5 on the list. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome, And we're like, well, what's the time frame typically if you're number 5 on the list? And they're like, you probably have to wait about 120 days. And we're like, oh, okay. Hung up the phone, went to bed, got a call at 2 a.m. Hey, we got a liver for you. I'm like, this is not 120 days. It's like 3 hours. It was crazy. So we hopped in the car, and hopefully we're beyond the statute of limitations, but my wife might have been speeding on the way up to St. Louis. So, and she was talking the whole time. I maybe said 15 words the whole trip, because I was just processing. Okay. They're going to cut my old liver out. We'll see you, buddy, and they're going to put a new one in. And they told me on the phone, it's a perfect match for you. No one else is going to be there, because lots of times if you're on the list, they're like, okay, come on up. Yeah, we're going to have 3 of you prepped to see, which one it fits type deal. And so I was like, oh, great. There's going to be other people. They're like, no, it's exclusively for you. I'm like, all right, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
So we got up and, got to the hospital, got all checked in. And it was an odd experience, just because you're like, okay, this is go time,
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty crazy. So
and when you were okay, so let me back up real quick, because I do want to give people like this, because I thought whenever with a liver or with any transplant, so you were 5th?
I was 5th,
and within 3 hours you just
shot to number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's all relevant to like your body size and just how everything connects and hooks up. So. Okay, I'm glad because in my understanding, not that this particularly matters, but I guess in my understanding was you had to be like on death's door. Within 3 months of death, they say, to get the transplant. Okay, because that's what I thought. Okay, so that clears a little bit up for my ignorance to the situation. But so on your way up there, what you're processing and how's Leah? Like, is she nervous? Is she excited? Are you guys both excited? Are you holding back a little bit because you're like, what if it? Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, no, let's not get too excited. What was that emotional? Was that an emotional roller coaster? Oh, I would feel like that. Yeah, it was for both of us, but both of us process it differently. She processes it out loud and verbal and talks, and I'm like, okay, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm excited, but if you've spent 10 minutes around me, if I'm excited, my face may not show it. Yeah. So I'm just like, okay, optimistic, but also realistic here. I could get up there and they're like, no, it's not going to work. I could get up there and they cut me open and I die. Here's all the options. That's what I'm saying. Like, there has to be so much going through your head going up there. Yeah. So death, I'm in a good place. Yeah. So I'm like, as a follower of Jesus, I'm like, if I die, I don't want to die. Yeah. But Leah gets $20 from my life insurance policy, and all will go on. But I would definitely miss my family. Yeah. And I kind of want to talk about that too for anyone who is listening, who still has has a family, a younger family. Yeah. You have 2 in high school, or 1 in high school now? 2 in high school and 2 out. Yes, but still, your older 2 were still young, like early 20s. Yeah, 22 and 20. Yeah, so you have a young family. And how would you encourage people navigating that with their young family as a follower? And what if they have a child, which I'm not saying this was your situation, but what if they have a child who is really struggling with God because of what they're seeing their parent go through? The parent, like you, is like strong in your faith. And how do you navigate? How would you encourage somebody to walk through that faith journey with their child? Demonstrate it. Demonstrate it and communicate. Don't hide it from your kids that things are going on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, dad is sick. Dad is dealing with this, but we're trusting God through the process. Praying out loud for the kids to hear, having your kids pray over you. Mm-hmm. It's crazy, just the different levels of compassion, even from my own kids. So, or right now, I could be sitting in a room with everyone, and if I clear my throat, people turn and look, and they're like, "Are you okay, Dad?" I'm like, it's choking on this chicken wing. So yeah, I'm fine. So, but I mean, it's just. Yeah. The kids care. They have empathy for the situation. And, I read reports and stuff, like sometimes people, like kids, will kind of try to distance themselves from it too. Mm-hmm. And that didn't really happen with my kids. Luckily, they leaned in and they were supportive. And, but you don't want your kids to have to see you in a tough situation either. So, not just trying to put on the brave face all the time, but I'm just like, hey, there's days I'm going to come home, I'm going to lay down by the fireplace, and I'm going to take a nap on the floor by the fireplace, because one thing about that is I was cold all the time. I mean, it could be like 70 degrees, 80 degrees out, and I'm like, I'm going to find a sweatshirt to wear. So all these different things that were just fascinating about the body, but I'm like, now, after the transplant, I was laying in bed and I had like all the sheets off and I'm like sweating and Leah's over here freezing. I'm like, I think whoever had this liver before must have been, a little bit warmer. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
So what would I'm going to pull the pastoral side out of you.
Oh.
What would you say to somebody whose child has walked away from God, specifically because what they're watching their parents go through?
Yeah. Time heals. Time takes care of it. Time and consistency. We all, as parents, we want to fix things with words or fix things quickly with hey, I read this, maybe you should read this, or text your kid, hey, this would be a great verse. And as a kid, I'd be like, I don't really want to read a verse. I want to see your life and see how you respond. And I just always want to be positive. I always want to be encouraging to the kids, like, hey, dad's got this, I'll see you after the transplant, and it was a great experience.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to do it again necessarily, because it was, there are parts of it that are like, you have to relearn how to do a lot of things because your body is basically in like this mode of shock because, we went in and took something and put something back in that's, not familiar with your body. So it's I
have questions about that, by the way.
Yeah.
I want to get, yes.
I did not get to keep my old liver. No.
It's not sitting in your freezer.
No, I would have loved that though. That would have been awesome.
Okay. Before we move on to that, I want to ask one more question on, family, dynamics, in very hard circumstances. For someone listening who left, continuing from the past question, we're talking about time and they've left the faith because they're like, there's no way God can be good with what my parents went through, but then their parent passed. And so they're really struggling now.
Yeah.
How would you encourage them through that moment? I know it's a question. I didn't prepare Brad for any of these.
Oh, it's a tough one because hopefully there's faith that has been instilled from a young age that, I would encourage everyone to question things and find answers for themselves. And I think when we question things and we don't give God an opportunity to answer the question, we're not really seeking the true answer. So I think some people like to process and just like be angry during that process until they could figure out what's going on. But and I totally get it. I mean, if I would have had a loved one pass away that's so close, you're like, okay, God, I don't understand this. I don't get it. But also where I'm at in my relationship with God now, I'm like, I understand that we're not all meant to live eternally on this earth. We're all going to pass. It's just a matter of time when. So that's I don't know if that's an answer, but I just wanted to be encouragement there.
Yes, and I being angry and questioning him, he's such a big God.
Yeah,
he can
take
handle it.
Yeah,
he can.
100%.
And the anger and the feelings, and I kind of feel like it's when you're the most raw with him. It's just, there is something there.
Yeah.
It's when you are just fully raw and you're not hiding your feelings. And you're just saying, I am really angry. And part of me is angry with you. Yeah.
And I think God would say, good, I'm glad we're at this point where we're raw now, because now you could feel my love.
Yes.
For you, for your situation, my care, my concern. So.
Yes. So I think Brad and I definitely, be encouraged that you are so loved and he is there and he is not leaving you in your questioning, in your anger, in your feelings. And he just wants to hold you in it. Yep. So yes. Okay. So let's go to the transplant. So you get the transplant.
Yes.
And walk me through that. Walk me through the transplant. Walk me through after and being in the hospital. And what was that like for you? What was that like for Leah? Take us through that.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because, we were excited to get there because it's something that, we'd been waiting for 7 years. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay. So I remember even parking in the parking garage, we had a suitcase or bags or whatever that we're carrying up because I know I'm going to be in there for, a while. Yeah. So instead of taking the elevator, our first mistake was, hey, let's take the stairs. So I get to the top of the stairs. And at that point, I was pretty out of shape. So I was just like, that was a mistake, I think. So we rolled in, got all prepped. And the doctors there and nurses at Barnes are incredible. Mm-hmm. And they really educate you and kind of walk you through the process. But went in, got the transplant, which was great. Got a nice, like probably 14-inch scar across my stomach. They call it the Mercedes scar because it kind of comes up in the middle a little bit too. So I'm like, sweet.
Yeah. So you're just extra cool now.
It looks really cool at the pool for sure. So, but got the transplant, and after the transplant, like later that day when I woke up, I'm just like, I feel great. This is awesome. There are a couple of people that were actually in the St. Louis area from church that came by and visited me, and they're like, wow, this is amazing. And I'm like, yeah, it is. The next couple of days were a little rougher because all of a sudden your body has to retrain itself. Like I said, when they cut you open and they're moving organs around to get to your organ, and they do the slicing and dicing that they got to do to make things happen. Your body's just like, just going to shut down for a little bit here, and you have to retrain it to do certain things, like use the restroom and whatnot. And so, of course, getting in and out of bed is a chore because your stomach muscles were cut. So all the C-section moms out there are like, yep, we get it. So I was in the hospital about 5 or 6 days, and really had some really good days. And like towards the end, though, I wasn't feeling really good. But doctors came in, they're like, okay, there's like 7 of them that came in. Okay, we're going to let you go today. I'm like, I don't know if that's a good idea.
Is that typical? 5 to 6 days?
I guess with me it was. So because there were days. I can get up and I walk around a little bit and do things and whatnot. And they have certain standards they want you to hit, and then they're like, okay, get you out of here so we can get someone else in. So they didn't say that, but that's what I was thinking.
Right. So we got another transplant.
Yeah, come on, Brad. Yeah. So we checked out. We went to a hotel. That was the kind of thing. Go to the hotel for like a month and a half and 2 months, whatever it might be, and heal up there. And you have nurses come out and visit you there and take your blood pressure and blood work or whatever. And so we were in this hotel, and there was a church up there that took care of us, paid a lot of the bill for our hotel. And, a lot of people, hooked us up with gift cards for food and whatnot. And it's pretty amazing. But after about 5 or 6 days, I had not been able to sleep. Eating was, I had an appetite, but I couldn't eat stuff. I'm just like, and then I had a lot of swelling in my midsection, just my belly and everything. I'm just like, this is just weird. It was hard to breathe. And after about 5 days, we called, and they're like, if you continue to have this, you need to come into the ER. I'm like, no, not the ER again, because the ER at Barnes it was like one of the coldest days ever. It's just full of people, and everyone's coughing, and it's just it's one of those deals where I just had a transplant. I have a immune system that is gone, and you want me to come in there and sit for 3 hours, and so I'm like, I was a little scared to go in there. I'm like, but
I've seen a guy in the ER sitting there with a knife in his thigh, still sitting in the ER waiting.
Oh, yeah, he's fine. He's okay.
The ER is in nowhere.
It isn't. But they got me in, and they had found out that when they went in and they, cut the old liver out, they also will take, your gallbladder. So they left a stump where the gallbladder was, and apparently they had not stitched it up all the way, and there was a slow leak. So after 6 days, I had 30 pounds of fluid drained off of my body.
Wow.
which was... It was amazing because apparently I had a semi-collapsed lung as well, so that was the breathing part.
Wow.
And but they cut me open along the same incision that had been healing for 6 days, so I had to have that part, just all over again. And I'm just like, okay, here we go. But my biggest concern during that whole thing was, am I going to have a hospital room that has a good view? That's all. I'm like, okay, I know what is ahead of me because I've done this already once. So am I going to be able to see the St. Louis Arch? Am I going to be able to, wake up in the morning and be able to appreciate, looking outside? So I think a lot of it is perspective. I'm not like, oh, here we go again. I got to do this again. It was frustrating, yes, but I felt so much better with the 30 pounds off. And it was pretty cool. I don't encourage people with that weight loss technique, but it worked for me. So
that is wild. And okay, so you and Leah, walking through marriage with dealing with this, how would you encourage people who are walking through marriage.
Oh, yeah.
With a really hard.
Well, I'll say this. Leah has been a saint through the whole thing, because there were times when if you don't feel good, you could be a jerk sometimes without even meaning to, but, and they had me on the steroid that, I'm going to blame it on the roids, but steroid that, I just easily agitated. And I'm just like, I could feel myself doing it. I'm just like, I'm not meaning to be snappy, but also with kind of foggy brain, it's just like, you're not a pleasure to be around. So there were several times it was great, because where we stayed, there was like an outlet mall and shopping, and our kids would come stay with us at the hotel sometimes, and Leah would just say, okay, I'm going to go out and go do some shopping. So I'd be like, okay, I'm going to try to sleep here, and try to get some rest. And it was good, because I know that I was not the easiest person to be around. And people have told me about that before. I have another friend that had a liver transplant, and trying to get back on the list now because it didn't work. And he was like, hey, you know what? It changes who you are for a while. The drugs mess with you. And I was like, so I anticipated that a little bit. So every once in a while I could feel it coming. I'm just like, okay, I just need to go in a different room and be away from people. So I couldn't even watch TV in the hospital, because so much stimulus happening at the same time. I tried watching TV. I'm like, okay, I could watch TV, but I'm going to turn the volume off. And then after a while, it's just like, I can't even watch TV. It's just funky drugs. But
so do you think, like, for people who are, in their relationship dealing with that, just being very intentional and aware and excusing yourself?
Well, giving grace. Sometimes grace goes beyond what we really want to give grace for. So it's just like, okay, I understand that you're hurting. I get it. But you can still speak kindly. I was just like, okay.
And then what would you also say to couples who have a very new normal? And encouraging them to find that new normal with each other, not with like the emotions and feelings that we just talked about, not the physicality of it, but encouraging them in the long term, the patience of finding a new normal. How that can be frustrating for the person who's not, and being like, why can't we do this fun stuff anymore? Like, this is, and just being patient.
What's interesting is we had a all-inclusive trip that was planned for like probably, and we planned it for like 6 months in advance. We were going to do it 3 months after the surgery. Doctors nix that, of course. They're like, you're not going out of the country, to a third world country. I'm like, I get it. But I think that the new normal for us was, I had to learn to pace myself and to be okay with that, because as a guy especially, I'm like, I could do that. I could lift this. Why is everyone babying me? Why is everyone using baby gloves? It's like, well, you need to heal. And I think as human beings, we want to rush back so quick and be able to do things because we're stubborn, and we're like, but every once in a while, it's okay to let other people do things for you. Not all the time. After a while, it's like, okay, I see that you're up and running around. You could do this now. I don't need to do this for you anymore. But there is a period of adjustment where, I wasn't supposed to lift like over 5 pounds. So like a jug of milk was it. And I don't even drink milk. So, so I was like, I don't want to lift that. But, just learning to communicate your feelings and just be able to, communicate with your spouse in a way that is like, I just want to let you know how I feel right now. I feel really tired. I feel like my head is kind of cloudy, so I don't want to have any conversations that could be misunderstood as I'm upset about something. I just, right now, I probably just need rest, and don't make any big, huge decisions like buying a car or buying a house or taking a job in Arizona. Or, but it's been amazing, though. The last month and a half has been incredible. We've seen my blood levels have come up, because for a while my white blood cells and red blood cells, they kill everything. So they were lingering in the low area. Now they're starting to creep back up again. I'm like, okay, this is good. Got me out of Silver Dollar City too. I love Silver Dollar City for my kids. I love it for other people's kids. For me, it's just,
Same.
Same. So we were down in Branson, actually. I went to Silver Dollar City. It was probably about 2 months ago. And we had someone had given us a Hilton stay down there. So one of the days, it's like, well, we're going to Silver Dollar City. We have passes on whatever. And I went on one ride. It was great. And I was a little nervous. It's a big barn swing. So I was like, how's that going to work right here on my my scar? And it was good. But then I got a call from my doctor. She looked at my blood work and she's like, you need to get to the ER right now. Your potassium level's too high. It could, lead to heart stuff. And I'm like, sorry, kids. You guys have a good time with mom. I took an Uber to the hospital. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
It's one of those deals where, just stuff happens. And, that is a new normal for us is, every once in a while I'm going to have a little bit more awareness of my medical stuff that has to happen. And Leah gives me grace there. The kids, they totally understand. They're like, what can we do? Yeah. I'm like, you could stay here and have fun in the hot sun.
Yeah, and walking.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you get a liver or any transplant, so is it a lifelong journey of just test and or does it eventually fade off?
It kind of and I'm still in the middle of it, so I still am kind of learning how things work. So I used to I had to give blood work twice a week. I had to go up to Barnes like every other week. But that was they said, hey, you could go home as long as you keep coming back for this. And now I'm at a point where I don't have to go to Barnes, every week. It's like every 3 months now. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I only have to give blood once every other week. And so those are some good things there. But, for the rest of my life, I have to be on anti-rejection medicine because it's not my liver that's in my body. And your body will automatically reject your liver, even though it's working fine. Yeah. It's just like it'll find ways to reject it. Yeah. So I'm on medicine every day, take that religiously, and just it's like, if this is all I have to do in order to survive, I think I'm going to try to remember to do that. So
100%.
Yeah. So.
Yes. And when you got the clear to start doing things that you have not been able to do for the last 7 years, what was the first thing that you were looking the most forward to?
Probably, there's a little coffee shop in Nixa. It's a drive-through, Real Deal Coffee, I think they call it, or something like that. So that was that was one of the first things. So that's a good question because I don't know if I was looking forward. I was excited to go back to church and see my friends. Yeah. So that was cool. But the doctor's like, yeah, you need to give that some time because your immune system's bad. People could cough on you. You could get that. You could die. And I'm like, oh, whatever.
At this point, I feel like I know. I was going to say at this point, if they say you could die, I think it's just like your shoes untied. Yeah, exactly. You've probably heard that so many times at this point.
I'm going skydiving. So no. Yes. So I gave it some time. I came back before I was probably supposed to, but like I would sneak in the green room of the church from the outside, come through doing worship, sneak into the front row, and then sneak out when the pastor was praying, and get my truck and be home by the time people realized I wasn't up there anymore. So I did that for a couple of weeks, and then just being cautious and smart, staying away from kids, the petri dishes of disease. So, which is, it's tough because I love kids. Yes. I love babies.
I was going to say there's one, Anna Messer, her daughter,
Riley,
loves you.
Oh, so, she's great. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. So what is next for the Fox family?
What is next? Yeah, that's a good question. We're transitioning. We're going from Springfield or Nixa to Surprise, Arizona. Yes. I've accepted a position as an executive pastor at a church called Radiant Church. Mm-hmm. So we're excited to go out there and join their team. And it's hard because we're actually leaving two of the kids here. Oh. One's going to be a senior in high school, and I don't want to be the source of her counseling 10 years down the road when she's like, my parents pulled me out of school. So, and then one is staying here. A 22-year-old is staying here as well. Yeah. So, but it's going to be cool. I mean, it's going to be hot, but it's going to be cool. So we're excited about it. We have some family out there. We have a lot of friends that live in the Phoenix area. So, and it's just. It's one of those deals where for the longest time, I didn't know if I was going to be able to do ministry stuff again. Yeah. One of the things when, before the transplant and even afterwards for about a month and a half, my voice was really raspy and just like all the time and quiet. And I'm like, man, is that ever going to go away? And eventually it just, went away, which was great. So I'm like, okay, so.
You could have become like an indie rocker.
No, I've always been an indie rocker, but only in my car. So yeah, I roll down the windows. All of a sudden, people are like, "You need to stay indie rather than Audi." So, but yeah, it's one of those deals where I really feel like, you have a new lease on life. There's things that you want to do again, and so I started golfing again, which I was a little nervous. How's my swing going to be? And it's still as bad as it was before, but it gets me outside doing things. And I actually played basketball this last week. I was up in Montana with my family, my mom and dad and my two brothers, and we played some 2-on-2 basketball, which is the first time I played basketball in forever, like 5 years.
That's so cool.
So yeah, it was a blast.
That's awesome.
Surprisingly enough, my legs and my conditioning are not quite there yet. So yeah, I need some Daniel Deal legs.
I know. Okay, so to end us off, what is, out of anything, if you could, one thing to say to somebody walking through a hard season, what would you want them, if they're like, I don't have a great memory, I'm not going to remember everything in that podcast. If you're like, this is the one thing I need you to remember, what is it?
I would say stop looking in the mirror for answers and look to God. So too many times we look in the mirror and we see the problem in front of us and we're just like, it's too big of a deal, too big of an issue. And you got to look beyond that. You got to see, God, if I put my faith and trust in you and I really believe that you're going to be able to see me through this, I realize that there's going to be some hurt and some pain and some frustrating times, but keeping an attitude of optimism, going, okay, this is great. One of my things I want to be is I want to be the best patient. I want to be a fun patient. So I remember one of the nurses at the hospital. She was bringing my pills, and this was before the transplant, but much like 5 years before the transplant. So I was in there for 5 days for something, and she's like, would you like something to take your pills with? I'm like, yeah, whiskey. And she was like, I think she was from the Ukraine. She was like, oh, this is what got you into trouble in the first place with your liver. And I was like, oh yeah. But then she came back. She goes, oh, you tricked me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not an alcoholic. So, just stuff like that. Having fun, being the best patient I could be, being the best dad I could be, trying to be the best husband, and you're going to fail. You're going to have moments where it's like, okay, well, I probably could have had a better attitude there. Yeah. But, as long as your goal and is to, show Christ in every situation, and to have fun, have people like you because you're going through it, but you are trusting God.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. Brad, thanks for coming on and sharing.
Thanks for having me. It was fun. Thanks for the coffee.
Yeah.